Today, we're diving into an incredible financial comeback story. We're talking about TransGenic Group, and we're going to break down exactly how they managed to pull this off. So, let's get right into it.
This is the big question, right? How does that even happen? It's a massive swing, from being deep in the red to solidly in the black. And let me tell you, it's not some kind of financial wizardry. It's a story of smart strategy, sharp focus, and, well, some pretty fascinating science.
And here are the numbers in black and white. Just look at that. A nearly 100 million yen loss one year, flipped to a 26 million yen profit the next. I mean, that is what a turnaround looks like. Now, let's dig in and see how they actually did it.
So, first up, we're going to look at that journey. We're digging into the key moves that completely flip the script for these guys.
Now, where does a comeback like this always start? Sales, right? You got to have more money coming in. And they did. Their total revenue jumped almost 11%, hitting nearly 3.2 billion yen. But here's the thing. The real story isn't just that they made more money. The how is the really cool part. The easiest way to understand this is to picture the company as having two big engines. One engine was basically on a mission to stop the bleeding, to plug a massive financial hole. And the other one? Well, that was the powerhouse that actually pushed them into profit.
So let's talk about that first engine, the drug discovery part of their business. This is the really brainy, super scientific side of the operation, where they help big pharma companies develop new drugs.
And wow, just look at this chart. Revenue here didn't just grow, it went through the roof, jumping by a massive 67%. That is incredible. But, and this is the crazy part, this engine wasn't even trying to make a profit this quarter. You heard that right. Its entire job was damage control. They took a huge 109 million yen loss from last year and shrunk it all the way down to just 23 million. I mean, that one move right there, that's almost the entire turnaround story in a nutshell. So you're probably wondering, how on earth did they do that? Well, a big part of it comes down to really specialized, high-tech stuff, like something called a RAS-2 mouse. It's a pretty cool piece of science, actually. Think of it as a biological time machine for cancer research. It helps scientists test drug safety way faster. And by focusing on high-value services like this, they were able to bring in a ton more cash.
So, their game plan was pretty simple but brilliant. First, they went all in on those premium services we just talked about. Second, they got way better at managing their workflow, just being more efficient. And third, they were super aggressive about cutting costs. Simple, right? But man, did they execute it perfectly.
Okay, so Engine 1 stopped the company from sinking. But what actually pushed it forward? What made the profit? Well, that brings us to engine number 2, commerce and consulting.
And this is the answer. While that other part of the business was busy cutting losses, this part was an absolute profit machine. Profit here jumped by a staggering 80.5%. That's not just growth, that's explosive.
But here's what's so clever about this. Their regular e-commerce business, selling directly to people, was actually having a tough time because, regular folks were tightening their belts. So instead of fighting that trend, they just shifted gears. They poured their energy into their wholesale business, cutting bigger deals and getting better prices. It's a classic case of not fighting the current, but using it to your advantage. So let's recap. We've got one engine that stopped the bleeding and another that's absolutely crushing it on profit. Looks great, right? But does one great quarter mean the whole company is solid? We got to do a quick health check. And this is a super important question, Is this just a sugar rush or is this real sustainable health? To figure that out, we've got to peek at the balance sheet. Now don't worry, you don't need to be an accountant for this. The main takeaway here is just one word: stability. What they own went up a little. What they owe went up a little. But the really important number, their net assets, think of that as their financial safety net. It barely moved. That's a great sign. It means they aren't gambling to get these results.
So what does all that mean? It means the company is on solid ground. The report mentions an equity ratio of 49.2%. In plain English, that means almost half of the entire company is paid for with its own money, not with borrowed cash. That is a really strong position to be in.
All right, so we've seen how they did it, and we've confirmed they're financially sound. The big question now is, what's next? What does the rest of the year look like? Okay, so they're saying there are no changes to their forecast. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds kind of boring, right? But in the financial world, that's actually huge news. It's a massive vote of confidence. They're basically saying, yeah, that amazing quarter, get used to it. That's our new normal. And here are the targets they're committed to hitting. They're aiming for 13.5 billion yen in sales, and, critically, they expect to stay profitable for the whole year with a net profit of 40 million yen. If they pull this off, it's not just a comeback quarter, it's a full-blown comeback year.
So, that's where we leave it. The company's two engines are absolutely roaring. The ship is stable, but we all know the hard part isn't just turning around, it's staying turned around. So the final question is, can they keep this momentum up for the whole year? Have they really engineered a sustainable comeback, or was this just a fantastic start?